that old man got that tractor beam out of commission, or this is going to be a real short trip. Okay, hit it!
Hey everyone, Collector Spotlight. We got another one for you here.
Hey.
Man, these are coming thick and fast, aren't they? Jeez, Jason's just killing it, setting all these up. I love it. So yeah, tonight we got Nick Klein. How you doing, Nick?
Doing great, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Hell yeah, and you're coming to us from Oregon, right, Bend?
Yes, sir.
Said? Hell yeah, dude. And Jason, you know a lot more about Nick's collection. Can you kind of tell us what we're kind of going to get into here?
So what's different about this particular one, and Nick, if I make any mistakes there, feel free to correct me, but Nick has been, I don't want to say one of the only, but one of the very few that has gone in and been basically I would say, purist. So in addition to getting found parts, let's say it's a blaster or prop of some sorts, rather than having 3D printed pieces or just placeholder pieces, the pieces from start to finish are basically all the original parts. And I think as we talk, Nick, you have had some placeholders as you've built up, but the intent is to finalize the piece from start to finish as a complete original found parts piece, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So we don't see too much of that.
As many found parts that can be identified. That's kind of the goal. A lot of them still haven't been discovered yet, or some of the stuff I think was made from scratch, like the dovetail and stuff from Han Solo's blaster. I don't know if that was a found part. I don't know if we know. I think it was more likely manufactured for the movie, but
specifically correct.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jason. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, in addition to that, you also have the Facebook group, which is based on the found parts specifically, right? The props and found parts.
It's not necessarily specific to found parts, but it's really just an original trilogy prop related group. But so we have a lot of real stuff, a lot of replica stuff. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I think there is a group that does specialize in only found part stuff, but the one that we've had for a few years just does original trilogy, anything prop related or costume related or studio scale models. I'd like to get more of that in the group, but it's not a whole lot of contributions yet, but I think that's something I personally want to get into. So I think it's really neat.
Yeah, that's awesome. We have something coming up on that actually within the next week or two. So I think it'll be worth your interest to check it out. But so this collection is pretty unique. It's when we're looking at other collections full of statues and hot toys, they seem very large. And we talked about that, Nick. But this is, again, very specific and very unique because you're looking at, the original or close to the original as you can get for the parts manufactured or found. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a little fun. And this is another one of those collector spotlights that I feel is going to be also educational. So it helps some people out with identifying things. And that's always good, The entertainment value is good, but it's also good to get a little bit of insight as to what goes behind some of the pieces.
Yeah, and guys, we'll be like Jason said, it's going to be a little bit different tonight. We are going to be going through. Nick sent a bunch of reference images. Nick, are those reference images that you kind of looked at yourself to kind of get a better idea of what you wanted to do for the pieces you collected? Are those some of the things you looked at? Not
those reference images specifically. I mean, I think I've probably been inspired a lot by like Scott Juarez, Custom Props. He builds pretty much every prop that I own. Okay. And a few other RPF members who have helped me, acquire a lot of these parts that are very hard to find. That's a lot of the stuff is kind of cool. Is it's relational, like you build relationships within the community, and of course, there's a lot of people that have worked years to identify, just like the water boot stud on the V2 recently that came to light. Like that's stuff that people search for years and years. So I'm kind of just I've benefited from that. I've not made discoveries or procured reference photos of my own. It's just more or less me piggybacking off of people who have done the hard work and
Yeah, of course.
trying to find that stuff, and they've been gracious enough to help me. So it's cool. It's a cool little community.
Absolutely. Well, that's cool. Yeah, guys. So everyone knows we'll be going through some reference images of like original shots from the movie. I think you also sent over some like promo images that you can like see some of these things in good detail, and then we'll be looking at Nick's collection, different pieces. So I'll have to cut in and out of opening things just because it's going to be a bit of a cluster to get this thing to work, but it'll happen. So all right, so let's get to the first one here. And this one's gonna be let me see, which one was this one? This one's the what's a Derwent flame tube. Is that what that is? Is that what that's called?
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah. So obviously we're looking at these guys right here.
So these are the engine parts from the Rolls Royce.
Right.
They look so much bigger than I would expect them to be. Gosh.
Yeah.
I think they're massive in person. Yeah,
they're pretty big.
And this is IG, right? This is the IG, IG-88 and all that. And you can see them right here. Yeah, they are pretty sizable. They're pretty big. Yeah. And did they have to do, when they got these things, did they have to do a lot of polishing and all this kind of stuff to get them like this? How do they look like? Cause IG-11 IG-88 and all that stuff, are they taking what is already finished and like messing it up for the final version of that? Or do you know what I'm talking about, Jason? Like what's the actual look of it?
In this particular shot, which I haven't seen something this clear before. So I see what you're saying. So when you look at the IG heads, or even, the engines that are being purchased and dismantled today, they're very gritty and rustic, where these look, sort of pristine.
They look really nice.
So I'd be curious to know if maybe
I think they were polished or chrome plated, one of the two. I think there was a guy who recently chrome plated one of those in the community. I think it may have been Cal from KR Sabers. He found an engine that didn't have the correct balance pipes in it, but he did sell a few of these that him and I believe his dad, he disassembled an engine and found a few of these. And I think he did chrome plate one, if I'm not mistaken. It was him.
Okay, I remember that. That was pretty recent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a reference images so you guys see, but this is your actual piece, right, Nick?
Yeah, and I actually got that pretty recently. It was a guy that was pretty local to me here in Central Oregon, and sold it to me for a pretty good price. It wasn't even really something I had on my radar, but I was like, it's local, it was a good price, so I picked it up.
It's really cool looking.
Yeah. That's a really unique piece. Yeah,
I beautiful.
Like that. Now, Nick, any intent to dress that up with the IG pieces?
Well, I mean, IG's not in A New Hope, so probably not. I'm probably gonna leave it as is. I don't know. I think it's kind of a neat fixture just to kind of leave around, your display, which I really don't have much of a display right now, or a proper display anyway. But I'm hoping at some point I'll do something with it to, do it justice.
Nice.
Nick, what are these markings here? What does that have to do? Is it just the part number or something like that, or like?
Yeah, I think they hand engraved a lot of the stuff. I know I've had a couple of the balance pipes for the Obi-Wan saber, and you see engravings like this very similar on just below the flange on the top. So I'm sure it's a model number of some kind, or serial number rather.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, this is killer. Man.
Yeah, that looks fantastic. I love all the.
So cool.
I know it'd be hard for me to strip it down and chrome it or polish it. I don't know. I just can't do it.
I can't comprehend like how they decided to pick these things and use them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so strange. Some of the stuff that they and we'll see a lot more. Yeah, it's a lot more of the stuff that you have here, Nick. It's just so weird, all the pieces they put together.
I'm not an expert on the origins of, how they found or how they chose to use this stuff. I think I could be mistaken, so don't quote me on this, but I think they got a lot of the stuff, really on the cheap, basically, and they just, cobbled together whatever they could to make it look space agey and different. And some of the stuff they even rented, they had to return to, a prop company over there, BAPI. But I think these airplane parts.
It just so happens these are the pieces they used, right? They found all
Yeah.
these scrap pieces.
Yeah. And you actually
So
see the flame tubes and the burner cans. I think you even see it behind Aunt Beru and it's right after they, stormtroopers took them out. You can see them kind of burning. You see one of the burner cans that go over this behind her, and you see a few shots. I don't know if in the movie, but in the reference photos I've seen, you even see the burner cans behind like Obi-Wan and Luke, and so they're all over the place. And then it makes it an appearance again in ESB with IG. So it's pretty neat. It looks really cool.
Literally both of them were on fire in that shot would be my guess, right?
Yeah. It is interesting going back to that because in Star Wars before ESB and Return of the Jedi, they literally had to make do with what they had, which is why the pieces are so random. And which is why I think that this part of the hobby in a collection like this specifically is so interesting, because you're going back to real world pieces, where in most movies, if you're trying to, acquire a part that's a prop, you're going either with a cast or potentially that original prop from the movie. But this is one movie where you can physically go out and grab a random piece from a washing machine or a refrigerator or a jet engine and have yourself an original related prop. I mean, the budget was peanuts for Star Wars, so they really had to make do with what they could.
Yeah. We were talking about this a little either a couple days, I think maybe a couple days ago, Jason, where we were saying the budget was like nothing, but how smart, how wise
4 million or something like that.
Yeah, but how smart was George Lucas to be like, no, I'm good. Just give me the rights to the whatever the
licensing rights.
Yeah, licensing rights, and I mean, how smart was that? It's crazy. Didn't Jason? Weren't you saying that Alec Guinness did the same thing, right?
Yeah. So I think I don't know if it was 100% of his pay, but he basically forwent his pay for starting the movie and said, "Give me something like 0.5 or 1% of the box office."
Yeah, it was like 1% or something crazy.
Yeah, so at the time it was kind of like a joke, like 1%. Yeah, it is. There you go. And now the guys, like I said, his grandkids are still eating off of Star Wars, and they will be for the next.
It's crazy.
I mean, while I was saying it, like where everybody else got like a $10,000 payday to be in the movie, this guy's making $100,000 a month in licensing.
It's freaking crazy. It's crazy. So let's move on. This is what is the DL44, right? DL44.
Yeah. So this is considered the hero,
right? And these are reference images. So we'll see Nick's version later on here, but
and pretty much just these were pretty much completely sourced from the RPF, and very gracious to the people who willingly share them over the years. So a lot people pay money and stuff for these reference photos. So anytime when they share them with the community, for discussion like this or research, it's really neat.
That's so good. Dude, in looking through some of these, I was like, man, there's a lot I haven't seen a lot of these images before. It's pretty crazy. This is.
Well, that's why I think it's great to have that educational aspect at times on some of these spotlights, because there's a lot to learn and a lot of curiosity and intrigue for collectors that have strong interest but aren't necessarily sure or aware of where some of the resources and reference comes from.
This one's a funny one.
This is awesome.
That's a live firing prop too. He's pointing right at Mark Hamill. I mean, they didn't have actual live ammo rounds. I think they just used blanks for the smoke and the fire, but still, it's a pretty funny shot.
That's a great image, huh?
This is cool.
Wow.
So that's what it looked like, I guess, pre-production. I think the lower is not painted, whereas the first image you showed where it was kind of at an angle, it's kind of what it looked like during production. But the spotty crossbar, and so.
What's this right here? What's this engraving right here? Do you know what that is?
So that's the brand of the scope, Henselt Wetzler. So it's a World War I scope. I think it's German made. A lot of variations of it. It's very hard to find, but a really, really cool piece.
That's so cool. And these aren't.
Oh wow!
I've looked into some of these. These aren't cheap to get. these days.
No.
Like to actually find something.
Yeah,
And
the
it's
real-
expensive.
Yeah, the real parts are really hard to find. I mean, it might be one of the hardest props to put together if you're doing just, original parts. But Chris, Field Marshal is what he goes by. He makes an insane replica. Sky helped him on the research and development for the Mauser part of it. I mean, unless you know what you're looking for, you cannot discern the difference between an actual Mauser, because the Mausers are, over 100 years old, most of them. So,
right.
But yeah.
Steve, do you first of all, Steve, do you have one of these?
I have a Master Replicas. Luke is probably the closest thing I have, but I don't have Hans.
Okay.
But yeah, I find this so intimidating, honestly, to go out and, because there's I don't know, Nick, maybe I'm sure you know better than me. There's like different variants of this from the different movies and all that. And it's just, for me, it's overwhelming. There's a lot. I feel like if I was to go out and try to get this, I would have to do a ton of research first before I did.
Yeah, you would think, and if you were strictly doing it on your own, you absolutely would. But I mean, again, Scott's like, from the time that I approached him about this, and I think originally I commissioned him for a lightsaber for a Graflex with FX stuff into it, and that's how I got into the hobby. But when I gradually moved on to other props, and I would say he's the authority on this kind of stuff, and just, I mean, he's very knowledgeable. He knows all the different variations, and just the things to look for. Like, that's the type of person that if you're going to do it, I mean, you want it built correctly too, which he's very, very skilled. So I mean, he's really great at what he does. I never would have procured something like this without his help and insight.
Yeah.
Juan's asking, original weapon was a Mauser?
A C96 broom handle Mauser.
Okay. So
this particular one was a wartime commercial issue, so it had the updated safety. So there's some stamps on there that indicate the difference between a wartime and a pre-wartime. But
okay.
What an interesting looking weapon.
That's so cool looking, dude.
It really is.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
So this is kind of cool. This is Frank Sinatra with the original base for this prop, because again, it was a rented gun from Bapti, and I guess they changed it up, but it's been screen matched in this movie and in the original Star Wars. Serial numbers have been screen matched to it being the same prop, so it's kind of a cool tidbit there.
That's crazy, dude.
Sinatra, huh? It's old criminal.
So where's the serial number on it?
Well, I actually have it here. Let me grab it.
Okay.
No, that's fine. Dude,
So-
that's crazy, man. That's nuts.
That's a great little. I would have never known that.
So it's not loaded for the firearms enthusiasts watching, but yeah, they're kind of everywhere. So see on the bar here, back here.
Okay.
Oh wow.
A few other spots, and you can see crown over U stamping. Right here. So the serials all match on this one, but the original one, or the one that was used in A New Hope, the upper didn't match the lower.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
For whatever reason.
Okay, and this is your piece right here, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Look at the heat staining on there.
Yeah, it's great.
Wow. Now, is this operational, Nick? Does this piece actually?
It does fire. I did send a video of it being fired.
Yeah, we got your video. I mean, we can definitely show it. It's pretty. I was not expecting this thing. Like when I saw, who is firing it?
So it's my wife, Courtney.
Okay, yes, yeah. So when I saw your wife firing, I was like, man, that I did not expect that thing to fire. Like I didn't know what I was looking at for a second, because I was like,
yeah,
it's so crazy.
There's only a handful that I know of, and Scott's built the vast majority of them. But I think it was Jerry Michalik, who's like a world-renowned like sharpshooter, a fast shooter. he built one for I think it was a 1-day build or a 2-day build, but Scott was on his show on the Outdoor Channel, and the show was called Shootout Lane. I think it only ran a couple seasons, but Scott actually built one for Jerry, and I think it was one of his earliest ones. But he's built that one, and I think he has 2 or 3 personal ones, and then he's built this one, and maybe one for Brandon, who owns the original V2 prop.
Oh,
It's so cool. And Nick, you have some fantastic photos, by the way, of some of your pieces.
Thank you.
it's beautiful.
Beautiful.
I'm very much an amateur. I got a cheap old DSLR camera,
No,
but I
that's
try to
great.
make the most of it.
Oh, you
Yeah.
you did these images?
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, me and Matt were talking about that earlier today.
Oh, it looks great. It's just
images
like
look
a little light
fantastic.
box. You using a light box or something, Nick?
No, it's actually all natural light. I just do it in
Okay.
my kitchen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks great.
Or in the dining room area.
Yeah, I love it.
We get to see all the detail, which that's the one thing that usually gets flooded out.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
What a gorgeous piece. Wow.
It really is beautiful.
So I think part of the, where Steve had mentioned it can be intimidating because there's so much and it's somewhat overwhelming. And as the community, as we know, is fantastic at assisting one another, and the amount of research and time, effort, and energy and resources that goes into it is also fantastic. But I think it takes a specific type of collector, because part of assembling a piece like this is actually acquiring those pieces. That's part of the enjoyment, I would assume, right, Nick?
Very much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool when it's all done, but I don't know, that the thrill of the chase is definitely a huge part of collecting this type of stuff, I think, just because it's almost like a puzzle, and takes a lot of luck, and just leaning on people like people in the RPF and Scott and people who are willing to help help you find this kind of stuff, because it's getting more and more rare, especially over the last few years. It's really taken off. Found parts aspect of collecting, I think, has really become a lot more not mainstream, obviously, but definitely more of a prevalent thing than it was before the last couple of years.
Which is also making it much more difficult and much more expensive to get pieces that normally just a few years back would have been much more readily available, or much more sort of less cost prohibitive, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, the Mausers are actually pretty easy to find. And I know there's a website that I could share with you all, but a lot of people can sign in there, and they have really good grades on the bore and just the bluing and all that other stuff that Scott shared with me. But the scope and the flash hider are definitely really, really hard to find. But at one point I did have a replica flash hider, which I still do. Like if I take it to the range, I don't use this one. I just unscrew this one. Scott made basically a booster type of thing with threads on it that it just unscrews. So, and it's in pretty, rough shape. It was actually in a lot worse of shape than this. When I got it, it had probably been in a, field somewhere for the last 70 or 80 years, or, give or take. So it had some corrosion on it, but, there's another gentleman named Dustin who, he has a YouTube channel called the Prop Chop Shop, and he basically, used electrolysis and a lot of other means to, restore it to some degree, as much as he possibly could. And he did a really good job.
Oh, it's awesome. Looks great.
Yeah, it is.
And the scope was just like a stroke of luck. I actually found that on a rifle on Gunbroker, and the owner of it had no idea what he had. The rifle really probably wasn't worth more than maybe $500 or $600, and I ended up buying it from him for, I want to say $1,100 or so. But the scopes, I've seen those scopes go for anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 for the correct one, and there's so many different slight variations. And the knurling on the windage knob at the top, and the engraving on the side, and a lot of little things, just because they were handmade at that time. So they weren't, if you find one, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be accurate to the original. It might be really close, but it's not going to be, really, there's really not one that's exactly alike, but there's some that are definitely closer than others.
Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, moving on. This is the so is this an RS piece? Is this another, like, is this one that you can put together yourself or what?
So, well, no, I'm definitely not a DIYer. I wish I was.
Yeah.
Dan Shudlick actually put this together for me.
Oh, cool.
Rob and Simon hooked him up with some raw HDPE molds, and he finished it for me and did a really fantastic job.
He's fantastic. He's amazing.
He's a really good dude.
This stuff together. Yeah. It's crazy.
Really, really nice, and really one of those people that go above and beyond in education, and just, really, really cool dude.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, Dan shares a lot of info with us and educates us quite a bit on the stormtrooper aspect of things.
Yeah,
which is it's amazing how much knowledge he has.
I know.
Crazy. What a beautiful piece, man.
Yeah, wow.
What's this guy in the back here?
So that's the helmet I got with the Stormtrooper commission or Stand Trooper commission kit, or not kit, but full commission. I got from RS. Yeah.
Okay, we'll look at that.
It's an ABS helmet.
Killer. So is this recent? Is this a recent one, or have you had this for a while?
I think I've had it probably, I want to say, since the beginning or the end of January or the beginning of February. Okay. This thing was lost in the mail for probably a good it was at least a solid 4 or 5 weeks, I want to say. Okay. Dan and I were getting a little bit nervous. He shipped it right around the end of November, and that's when anything that got shipped out at that time just got buried in Philadelphia. I guess it's the main distributing center for imported stuff like that from overseas, and we thought we had lost it at one point, but luckily it got here, and the box was still in perfect shape.
We had some of our own fun horror stories with shipping over the holiday season.
Yeah.
So Nick, I wanted to ask real quickly, we're not getting too far into it, just the stand that the helmet's on. So I have a few of these stands. They're basically similar or close to what Lucasfilm uses in the archives. Where is this something that you just had made, or that you've been able to acquire somewhere, or?
No, so Solo Told actually made these years ago, and I think he still has some of them kind of laying around. But he sold me this one probably close to 2 years ago. I bought it for an SL Vader helmet that I unfortunately no longer have. When my wife and I were getting gazelle intense, as Dave Ramsey says about getting out of debt, I reluctantly sold it, and I regret it. I mean, I don't regret it, but definitely miss it. Yeah.
Real quick, Juan has a question about, Nick, have you seen the Airsoft DL44 blaster all metalworking replica? Thoughts? If so, have you seen that one, Nick?
I have seen that one. I think they may have used that. I could be wrong. I'm not a full-blown expert, but I think they may have used an Airsoft Mauser replica for the Solo movie. Okay. That was the base for that prop.
And then Sean's saying, is the silver circle part of the original Mauser?
No. So there's a few theories around that. They think it may have been something that was attached to it either during the Naked Runner when that was being filmed with Sinatra, or at some point between then and the time that A New Hope was made, that basically it fell off and left that silver spot where the paint was taken off.
Okay.
So
yeah, dude, this is I'm trying pretty soon here to get I'm going to get a Sand Trooper helmet. I think a full bust from RS at some point soon.
It's my favorite. I just think it's so. I mean, I love it. The clean looking ones are awesome too. But I don't know. There's something about the Sand Trooper that's so cool looking.
I freaking love it, dude.
I might be sending Dan a message after the show.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
This looks amazing.
It's freaking amazing. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have RS put one together for me soon. Obviously,
I love the detail here. Yeah, like the red undercoat, like kind of showing. He showed me some reference pictures that, I mean, it looks identical on the inside.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Just from the paint to everything. He put vintage fasteners and straps in there too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, straps. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool, dude. That's amazing. Steve, do you have a Sand Trooper helmet or bust yet?
No.
Not yet. Okay.
My intent is I want to get the full armor.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
It's just it kind of took a backseat to another expensive purchase that
Oh, that's right.
I'm working to pay off right now.
Yes, correct.
Tauntaun.
Somebody had the full,
Yeah.
somebody had the full
Yeah.
armor listed about a week ago in RS with the backpack.
Yeah, I think it was Eddie.
Yeah, it was
Was
Eddie.
it?
It's the
I
same.
don't think it's selling the backpack though, right?
No, it
Oh.
wasn't Eddie. It was another gentleman.
No.
He had the full ensemble. He had the backpack, everything.
Hmm.
Okay.
But he radio silence. Like 3 or 4 people hit him up, and he just didn't respond to anybody, which I thought was weird.
Yeah, if you're going to sell something, you should respond, right?
Okay, so now moving on, we're going to this little guy right here, correct?
Mm-hmm.
This is a droid. What is it? What do you call it? The Droid Caller?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is a killer picture, by the way.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's
This is
pretty
a-
neat.
This is a really cool picture of Luke.
I think I might have found that one on Pinterest actually. There's a lot of good reference photos on Pinterest if you haven't looked there. And I don't even have a Pinterest account, but just looking for Star Wars reference photos, and there's a lot of them that pop up on that website. It's pretty cool.
That's so cool. And here it is again in the screenshot of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he's actually got it in hand here.
Now this got the rounded cap opposed to the other ones that we see, so I'm assuming we're going to see that coming up.
Yeah, so most of them are, all of them are squared off. I think that rounded cap is just something they put on there. I don't think the origins of it are really known. I think there's a lot of theories behind what it was, but.
And here's your piece.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, like that's
Killer.
it is.
Talk about a random piece to get, Nick. I mean, these are some really random pieces, but I love it. It's fantastic. That's really cool.
The detail on these, just the.
So what is the main piece here? What is this from? Is this another camera part or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's basically just a flash gun, just like the Graflex and a few of the other camera parts, and just kind of like with the scopes, like we were talking about earlier on the Mauser. I mean, these have a lot of variations too. This one, I think, I could be mistaken, but I think it might be one of the hardest ones to find because most of them have like a coin knurling on the bottom, but Luke's specifically in A New Hope did not have that.
Right.
And it was silver, but it was either Sharpied or painted black. So that's what this one is. And I did not hunt this down or put it together. Curdy Boy actually sold this to me fairly recently.
You're lucky.
Yeah, so at a really good price.
Something to think about for everyone out there that's going like, what the hell am I looking at? I think because we obviously everyone collects different things, but what I love about this, and it's same goes for like the Wanawanga bunker bomb and all those little things out there. It can fill in the gaps in your collection like so well, and even if people don't know what it is, it still looks awesome. It's still Star Wars, and it looks really cool. I mean, this kind of stuff can look so cool next to statues. It can look good next to helmets. It can just fill those little small gaps that you're not going to put anything else there, right? It's
just makes it a little bit more immersive. Putting it next to like a centerpiece, statue or something like that. Just I don't know. It's
so
kind of
cool.
it's pretty neat.
I love it.
I think it makes it a lot more interesting. Even when I got my restraining bolt, I had put it with my Tamashii Nations 3PO and R2, and it just stood out really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. 1 second, guys. I'll bring this up here. So now we're gonna move on to Luke's lightsaber.
I love this picture. My eye.
It'd be more than his eye.
What an idiot!
Right to the back of his head.
So yeah, we got Luke's New Hope lightsaber. Some of these.
Look at that feathered back 70s hair, huh?
I know, it's so freaking.
What a sexy
beautiful,
beast. It is.
Dude, sometimes I look at this guy and I'm like, who's cosplaying as Luke? Because he looks so weird in all these different photos. He looks different, completely
He's
different.
pre-accident. Is that why?
I don't know.
It could be. I think a lot of makeup too, maybe hair and makeup, because his hair is really feathered. I mean, I don't think that's natural flow.
That's a great photo.
That's that Macquarie stance right there. I love it.
Yeah.
So cool, dude. This is one of the.
Can you go back to the Macquarie stance? I just want to see what's on his hip. He's got Leia's blaster. He's got Leia's blaster on his hip, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, Margolin. Which I too sold one of those live firing one last year or the year before.
Dude, this whole like belt system thing he's got strapped up to this gun is freaking sick, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Looks like Han. Yeah, it looks like Han.
Looks like a mixture of Han and
he wore that in the Metal Yavin scene at the end of the movie too. A lot of people miss that. The blaster.
Reference shots of the and this is straight like we said before, like a flash gun, right? That they just
flash handle.
And they added a couple different things here and there, and because these are all added, right? These grips.
Yeah, those have never been really identified.
Okay.
They think they're like I guess like tracked for a cupboard for the door to roll on, but they never found the exact match for it yet. So Wanawanga and a few other people make really good replicas of them. So
yeah, Ben with it, old Ben.
These are some great shots, huh? These images, I haven't seen a lot of.
I like that trunk. The trunk itself is really nice.
I know. I wish somebody would make that.
Nice.
And that was used in
with Superman, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, it's in Superman too.
Is it the same trunk?
Same as that trunk.
No shit.
Set designer was the same person, right, Jason?
Yeah, I think it's Roger. Yeah.
How cool is that? How cool if it would have been if Superman would have been like, oh shit, a lightsaber. Wow. Yeah, you're right, Steve. That would be really cool if someone made that. That would be awesome.
I'm surprised somebody hasn't tackled that because there's quite a few images of it circling around.
Yeah. And this is your piece, huh? Freaking beautiful.
Yeah, so Scott put that together. So they're uncovering mysteries about it all the time, like with the D-ring and stuff. That was kind of all of assumed for the longest time what it looked like, and recently better reference photos have come out. So it's one of those things that's never really done. There's always one little detail that we're trying to emulate on our builds that you know, make it that much closer to the movie. But even like this little glass eye, there's so many different variations in this in these older parts. So it's a rabbit hole with it, you know.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
It's amazing that we're 40. We were just talking about this before going live. So we're roughly just a day past the 45-year anniversary of the original first day of shooting on Star Wars, and it's just amazing that 45 years in, we're still discovering different pieces. And when we were mentioning the V2 or the mystery chunk, the boot piece, that was just this past September of 2020. Give or take, that was discovered. Yeah, so that's amazing.
Yeah, like these little two notches here, the little rivets, like that was a recent discovery as well. The first 2 or 3 of these that I've had is I had an FX one, and I had another one that I sold at one point, and I got this one. They didn't have that detail, and then someone released reference photos graciously. I guess they had purchased them through the original owner, or they were, because a lot of this stuff is documented much better than the stuff that we have in the archives, but it just hasn't been released yet. So, but as time goes on, more and more of the finer details have been uncovered.
See, I want to get one of these. I just there's so many different people that make the damn thing. And I just want to find a really good one.
Just get a real one, man. They're not that bad.
I know. I need to figure that out because I really want one. I want to put it next to the XM Luke. statue that is. I guess that's different, right? That's a different one. So I'd have to find one that's an ESB version of it.
Yeah, well, you just get the Flash first, and you can make it whichever version you
whichever
want.
version you want.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta do that. I love the Graflex stuff on here. I freaking love that stuff, dude. It looks so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
I freaking love it. Juan's asking, is there a difference between your Luke LS hilt and master replicas? Jason, do you know? Or?
There's a few differences. I mean, master replicas, they got it close, but I mean, you're talking, I don't want to say apples and oranges. The master replicas is missing the Graflex. There's a few hallmark stamps and just details that were
because of licensing, right? Reasons, is that right?
Licensing, and then they just some of the access to the archive were image references or just trying to get it as close as possible. It could have been manufacturing limitations, cost limitations, things like that, time limitations.
Yeah. These are the rivet things you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nick, yeah.
Yeah, and the cool thing that Scott did with these, and I think a lot of people have kind of started doing this, but they're not actually punched into the flash gun. They're basically just shaved down after it looks like they've been punched and just glued on there. So it preserves the flash to some degree. I'm not really opposed to drilling it, but I think it does make the build a little bit easier. And if better reference photos come out later, you don't want to make a change to something like this that's irreversible. But with glue, you put some acetone on it, and it'll come right off.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Let's talk about it. Yeah, it's a great looking piece.
So cool, man. Beautiful, beautiful piece. It
really is. Yeah,
I gotta figure that out, man. I gotta figure that out. There's a few more hilts I want to get at some point, but
I get the original one, man.
I know I have to. You're right. I have to. I would love this too that I'm going to bring up here in a second. Gosh dang it!
Before we bring it up, Nick, can I ask? I meant to touch upon this earlier. So you've collected various things, but now you're specifically limiting yourself to strictly a new Hulk pieces. Is there any reason particular that you chose that?
Well, I think the original reason was that I was lucky enough to, with the help of a lot of different people, to procure a genuine Obi-Wan hilt. So that was something I kind of wanted to build around. And I guess the main reason that I've kind of deviated from a lot of the pieces, like the EE3 that I sold and a lot of other things, is just to kind of keep myself in check to some degree. Having a focus kind of holds you accountable to some degree, even though it's really hard to do. It's easier to say no when you have a sense of direction on what you want to do, and it's easier to hold yourself to it.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, especially like you said, both direction, discipline, and focus. And I was talking today, the Bosk, right?
Yeah.
Makes it easier to make a better decision. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say too, in addition to that, it's my favorite Star Wars movie by far. As great as ESB is, there's just something, I don't know, really magical about the first one, and specifically about the props, because I just think that, I know we kind of touched upon it earlier, but just in the way in which they were made, I don't know. I think aesthetically, visually, that movie is it's my favorite. So.
Well, moving on, we got the macro binoculars, and this is one that I feel like I'll never be able to own in original parts, of course, just because it's fantastic, but takes a lot to get all these pieces together. And
you'd be surprised. A lot of people have done it, and I've actually done it twice because I did sell my first set. Mm-hmm.
So cool, dude. I think it just looks so cool. I freaking love it. This is awesome. Awesome picture. Jason, do you have these yet? Do you have a set of these?
I don't physically have them in hand.
Okay.
I actually think the gentleman who's been a great resource and a great assistance is actually in the chat. If you see Seneca in the chat, and I think Nick, you may be familiar.
Yeah, Troy.
So
He's nice dude. I've met him in person. We met at Celebration a couple years ago, actually.
Yeah, he's been just a fantastic resource of information and the research that he's done and what he's contributed to the found parts community has been fantastic. But yeah, so he's currently, I think he's pretty close to finishing up. He sent me some progress pics. I got to touch base with him. Just my busy schedule, I kind of lost touch.
Awesome.
But he's the one who also sent over the restraining bolts and also the Droid Caller. I mean, not the Droid Caller, the black and white one. The one where we had all that sort of back and forth. He got that pretty spot on. So I'm looking forward to getting these on display.
I love them. I think they look so cool. And this is your actual piece here, Nick. Looks awesome, man. Oh, it's so cool. I just freaking love it. These would look. How do you know how people display this thing? Like, do they actually make stands and stuff for this thing, or
someone? Someone was making the stands, right?
Victor, friend of mine, ran a business called Darklight Customs, and he specialized in acrylic stands. And he's made me a stand for just about every handheld prop that I own. They're really nice. He doesn't really do them anymore, but occasionally he will, he'll help me out if I need something.
That's really cool.
And they pop up from time to time on the RPF, but they work beautiful with some of these props. They're just they really step it up a little bit.
So
they're made really well. And
Nick, are there just like several different pieces, like camera pieces, like glued together here, or are they actually like what's going on here?
So they're not very easy to put together. I'm sure Troy can attest to this, but basically the base, which is a UMIG servomatic, it has to be completely stripped on the inside, pretty much. A lot of stuff is screwed together. Some of it's really none of it's really glued. No, I mean, it's all pretty much screwed together with threads, and the transition box there screwed into the UMIG, which is the base of the camera. That big black rectangular part, that's not a real or an identified part.
This part?
That's a fan made part.
This part
or right in the center there, the first one.
Oh, this. Oh, I got you. This thing. Okay.
So,
interesting.
So the belt clip is fan made too, but the part where it transitions into the viewer, that's a fan made part. But all that stuff's screwed together, and then the viewer actually slides into the black part. So, but yeah, it's a really, I mean, it feels really good. Like it's substantial and it's kind of heavy. It's pretty cool.
That's so cool.
When I saw the
I'm sorry, real quick. Are the lenses hard to find as well, or?
That's the hardest part to find. The rest of it's pretty easy and not really that bad in terms of cost. I think you can get a UMIG, like the base part of it, for $40 or $50 I've seen on eBay as of late, and then the knobs come off of various cameras, and those cameras probably run $80 to $90. But the lens themselves are fairly hard to find. They do pop up pretty occasionally.
Yeah, Seneca's saying 5 different cameras here.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
He sent me a work in progress pic, Matt. As Nick was stating, when you're disassembling so many different parts to make this one part, which is interesting because again, going back to the limited time and limited resources that they had, that's what's so interesting about it. That they took all that time, effort, and energy to take apart 6 different things, 5 different things, and then assemble this one.
Crazy.
So I basically got this work in progress pic, which is like an exploding image of all these pieces just laid out everywhere of the 5 cameras disassembled to be, going towards being reusable into one. And I was just like, it's so overwhelming, but amazing to see. It's fantastic.
So you could do that,
it's in universe too. It looks,
or Aaron saying
perfectly.
Aaron saying you could just get a Sony digital binoculars, which he's right. He's right. You could. So one or the other,
Somebody on the RPF actually made this like a working camera. They put some type of video recorder in there, so that's pretty neat. Yeah.
That's cool. Let's see what do we have next. Let's go to old Obi-Wan here. Open his lightsaber. Let's see. So here's some reference photos. This is great.
Look at that. He's like, yep, I asked for that 1%.
It's a great
That's
shot. I know.
That was the shot I was referring to earlier. You can see the Rolls Royce burner cans on the top right hand corner there.
Oh yeah,
which is kind of cool.
Yeah, right up there. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a beautiful image right here.
That's a great image. Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's so cool. And then, yes, it's so good, dude. I wonder what they thought of these damn things hanging off their freaking belts. Like, what the hell is this thing? Like, what are we gonna do here?
Yeah, this thing is a work of art in and of itself. Dude.
It really is. It's crazy.
I think it's so cool how all those random pieces just came together. I mean, completely different from one another and made something like that. It's pretty cool.
And I just love how tattered and weathered and beat up it is. It's so aesthetically pleasing. Yeah.
I know. The more these things are beat up, I think the better they look, in my opinion, with Star Wars stuff.
Yeah. If you look at this image here, a lot of people believe, and I'm in the camp, that there's probably more than one for production, which would just make sense for any movie or any prop. But you can kind of see the grenade on the top one, which is from Tunisia, is a lot rougher than the ones that were documented in the Chronicles book, which the center picture and the one on the bottom are from Chronicles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, also the transistor on the second one is missing the little ring, so that could have easily popped off, or could, like you said, just be a second piece.
Jason, you see that the little metal hook is missing from the Graflex clamp in the middle. The middle one has the hook. Has that like?
Yeah, the middle one has it.
Yeah, it's a cotter pin. That's actually from the booster. So
it's a cotter pin, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That's what they mean. Steve, we're trying to, because there's so many between the MR version and some of the fan-made props, and sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't, and it's such a small little detail that just gets overlooked easily. But it's interesting.
Yeah. So Chronicles was post-production, so I guess the belief is that they mashed that thing together again, and some of the details that are present on that were not on screen.
Okay.
So.
Wow. Okay.
Some shots of it in use here.
It's really not a whole lot of great reference from the stills. There's some decent shots, but it's not super visible like some of the other props are.
Right. Here's your piece right here.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's a beauty, huh?
That's a beauty. Bring it in here. Yeah, it's really, really pretty. Yeah, this is one of the coolest freaking looking lightsabers, I think. It's just so interesting to look at.
Gosh, look at that.
And there are some really nice. I mean, it's not I don't have a found parts one. I have the Roman props one, but it's still a very, very nice hilt.
Oh yeah, I've had one of those. They're super nice.
There's people that can make some really good replica versions of this, and I love it. It's beautiful, heavy, super heavy. Oh, it's awesome. I love the weathering and grime and all the stuff on this thing. It looks awesome. Yeah.
So the cool thing is that was in the burner camera we're looking at. Not that specific one, but that's where all the grime and all the the weathering came from. It's just a carbon scoring basically.
Yeah.
So it's all organic.
I love it. It's beautiful. And again, the Graflex, it looks awesome, dude. I love it.
And if you're a history or a fan of history stuff like I am too, it's kind of neat to see like these World War I and II pieces, that have seen action and could probably tell some pretty cool stories if they could talk, just kind of all cobbled together to make a really cool Star Wars piece. So there's a few layers to this stuff, from a collecting standpoint that you can appreciate. Obviously it's a movie prop replica that we all, love and enjoy, but there's definitely a historical element to it too, which I think is pretty neat.
Do we know, Nick, if they used hot or cold?
They don't know, but we don't even really know if there was an end cap. Like that picture you showed earlier where all three of them were on top.
Yeah.
The end cap was missing on the Tunisia one. And then in the Chronicles version, we can't tell. Okay. And there may be a third variant of it from the Death Star shots.
Yeah.
But it's just not high def. I mean, it's pretty high def, but it's not. There's not really good enough stills to really know whether or not they're. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Nick, what is the philosophy? Your philosophy on weathering? You talked about the organic weathering on this, and obviously, this doesn't match what is on the screen. So, do you try to replicate the weathering to make it match on the screen, or you just take whatever is on the found part itself and you go with that?
You usually just take whatever's on the found part, and with the Obi-Wan, there's just so little reference available, and there's so many different variations, like in these parts, and just how they look and how they were. Yeah, like even the grenade, for example, the cuts on this one are technically not accurate to the Chronicles version. With Tunisia, we can't really tell whether or not they are symmetrical or asymmetrical. So, I mean, with this stuff, it's so rare. You kind of, it's one of those things that you can kind of take liberties with and not obsess too much over the really, really small details, just because, like, if you find a balance pipe, or which is the emitter part, or a grenade, or a booster, like they're so hard to find. You can't really be picky about it. I've been fortunate enough to, I've probably gone through, I probably could have assembled a few of these by now, just with the parts I've upgraded and swapped out over the last few years. That's kind of a neat thing too. It's never really, it's like I was saying earlier about the graphics. It's never really done. There's always little things you can improve upon. If you are lucky enough to find a part that might be a little bit closer to the screen used one, you can swap it out and easily get your money back by selling the one you already have. So,
okay, that's cool. Here we've got something familiar. I think all of us will be able to appreciate here. Let's see. Let me open this guy up. This is something we've been seeing more people pick up lately.
Oh, nice.
And it's it's a Regal Robot CZ3 bust here. So, Nick, when did you pick this one up?
I want to say it was 2.5, 3 weeks ago.
Okay, so pretty recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What inspired you to get it?
Look over Matt's shoulder there. That's probably the biggest reason why I got it. I mean, obviously,
it's just staring at you.
Yep, I knew what CZ3 was before, and I know Zorg on the RPF made pretty decent replica for years before we had an actual scan of one. But it was one of those things. I mean, Tom's just really cool dude. Obviously, cares a lot about what he does. The things he makes, and this thing is so true to the original one. So I think seeing that one over your shoulder kind of just nudged, because I was trying to restrain myself. I was like, I'm not gonna get it. I gotta focus on other, like, more well-known, like, things. Like, eventually I would love to build an R2. I think that would be super cool. But I was just like, if I pass on this, I know 10 years down the road, and I have all the stuff that is available pretty much all the time, I'm going to regret passing it up. So I was just like, I got to get it. So.
Well, do you love it?
That's a grab.
I love it. I think
it's great, right?
It's so cool. It's so cool. Yeah. It's so unique.
It's one of those things, Nick, where I'd say at least once a week, or if not, maybe every other week, we'll get a message like, oh, because of this, or like you said, you have a match shoulder, like I bought a CZ, and it's fun to be able to influence people to add these things to their collection. But when they finally get it in, that's where you really get the wow factor, and it's even more than when they have it in hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so different. Like when I first saw it, we've talked about this. When we first saw it, we were like, what the hell is it? Like, why would you want that in your collection? It's like a clown robot with bad makeup or whatever. And then once you start to really appreciate it more and go, yeah, like I've come to realize that I really more and more I really appreciate the random things that's made Star Wars, like all the pieces that cobbled together, all the weird like characters,
asymmetry. Yeah,
all that stuff
it's so
makes
perfectly imperfect. Yeah,
it's crazy.
All the arbitrary stuff, I think.
It's beautiful, and it goes to like what Star Wars is, right? Star Wars isn't this like Star Trek perfect like looking universe. It's like very, very like
very real.
Oh, it's super real. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the biggest standout aspects of it is the fact that it's a lived-in world and not, every time you see, like a Buck Rogers or a Space Odyssey, everything's polished and pristine, sort of Apple product, if you will. That whole gloss panel finish. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Great weathering on this one too.
Mm-hmm.
I like the weathering on this one. Mine has a little bit more weathering, I think, but it's fantastic. Jason, you've mentioned that you would have loved to see them go like crazy on the weathering, right? On this one.
Oh yeah, so mine's a little bit more heavy-handed, I think, around the mouth and this section here. I shared some posts with you, Nick, I think, and it just the top. And I actually, after I did some additional due diligence, the costumes book, I don't know if a lot of that was added after the fact, or if it was maybe done beforehand and some of it got wiped, or as it got handled, some of the weathering came off, but. I don't think there was more than one cast or mold made of CZ. I could be wrong on that, but I saw some subtle differences and variations. But this would have looked nicer because he was running around in the desert, being tossed around by Jawas. It would have been nice to just really be banged up and dirty and grimy. Yeah.
Number 30, very nice.
Nice round number. Yeah.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, man.
I think those are going to be gone soon. That's about it.
Yeah, they have to be getting close. Probably in the teens, right?
Smart pickup there. Really good. Steve, you're gonna like this right here. Hold on, let me bring this up.
Oh no.
Oh no, he says. It's something you're probably already gonna look to get at some point anyway, because we've already talked about this.
Oh yeah.
So this is the full setup right here, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, and it's pretty much still in the plastic, just like that. I haven't taken it out yet.
Nice.
Yeah, I need to try it on at some point. I will.
Now, is this a newer piece that they released? I haven't seen this one, or is this just a private commission?
No, so it's just a standard Sand Trooper commission. I bought it on Black Friday at a 10 or 15% off sale, so save me a few $100, and could be more pleased with it. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's really neat.
Does it come with a backpack?
Yeah.
It does.
Yes, it does. Look at that thing.
And this is the more updated version of their pack too that Rob did a video on a couple of months ago, I think.
Oh, I gotta get this thing.
Are you planning on trooping with it?
No. The idea originally was to get a mannequin and dress it. They took my measurements, and I talked to Dan a little bit about, should I do my measurements or try to go with something that's more like, screen accurate. And he said my build was pretty close. So I was like, oh, I'll just do, my build. And finding a mannequin is a lot harder than I thought it would be.
Nick is the same as my build, right? You're the same height as me with like 5'6", around there. Same thing. That's cool.
So
I'd probably do this backpack would probably be huge on me.
I gotta ask though, Nick. So this backpack, the one we're looking at, came from this was part of the commission, the outfit.
Yes.
Did you add or change anything, or this is how it arrived?
This is exactly how it arrived. Yep.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
I've been sleeping on this, huh?
Yeah,
Rob and Simon, if you guys are watching, send me a message.
I know.
I mean, it's next
this.
level. It's so cool.
That's insane.
Steve, how have you not
looks like it had a pic.
How have you not gotten this yet,
that
Steve?
piece of leather.
I was planning on getting it at the beginning of this year.
Okay.
But
then something happened.
Various forces have Mother Nature has conspired against me.
Because of your Death Trooper.
Go back one.
This one?
So is that like an actual piece of vinyl or leather, the stitching around
Yeah,
that video
yeah.
box?
I mean, it's not cast in. It's real vinyl or leather, one of the two. I mean, it's legit, man.
Crazy, dude.
It
I'm all over
looks so
this.
cool. I mean, just the pack alone is like a cool display piece, in my opinion.
Was it a whole to do for shipping, or was it pretty straightforward?
No, it was funny. My wife got this in a package one day, and we were not expecting it. So they I guess they have a close friend or somebody that started with them in the earlier days when they started doing this, and he lives in the States. He shipped it from a resident address in I think it was either Arkansas. I think it may have been Arkansas, and we got this random huge heavy package from a name I've never seen before. And I'm like, what the heck is this? I'm like almost afraid to open it, but this is what it was. And then the very next day, the rest of the kit or the rest of the commission shipped from the UK. So
That
they timed it pretty close. I mean, every detail.
Because they do have people in the US that do some work for them, I believe, RS. And so that must be what it is.
For this, yes. Yeah, the rest, I mean, I don't know if they outsourced anything else, but this pack, I know it's a more up-to-date version of the ones they've previously done, and this was one of the first few that shipped. But it's, I don't know, it's perfect.
You'd almost guess that they do a lot of the molding and a lot of the castings and all the other stuff. Send it to the person who's kind of putting it together on the pack itself, maybe, or something like that.
Maybe, yeah. I'm not 100% sure.
It's really cool. I mean, look at these.
Either way, it looks great.
These straps. It all looks. Jason.
Yeah, Rob made a really good video, kind of breaking it all down when they kind of refreshed.
Jason, I freaking love it, dude. He's just shaking his head like, how did I miss this?
Did you know the video, Jason? The video where the video where he was making this? Did you see that?
I did, but I didn't think all of this innate detail was this fine.
I have to say though, you need to wait until I get mine. You can't get yours before me. I'll be very.
Oh, I'm sending him a message when we getting a message for the helmet, and they get a message for the.
Damn you!
I'm just so upset that this guy, I think actually the gentleman who was recently selling his just acquired it. And he was saying this is brand new. He only had it for a month or two, and was reselling it. And he was based out of California, but again, radio silence. I jumped all over it. I was like, I'll take it. I'll pay for shipping because it was already done and it was in the States, so it would have made it easier. But yeah, I don't know. If I had something like this, I would probably have second thoughts as well.
I think Rob even mentioned that they might even offer these separate from the rest of the commissioners. Right now, you have to get the entire commission, I think, in order to get one.
Yeah, we should convince Rob to do that because I don't know where the hell I'd put something like this, but it's freaking beautiful.
And what's really neat too, and a lot of things set RS apart, obviously, but they without even asking me, or I didn't even know until I got this thing, but they actually reached out to Dan because they knew that Dan was making a helmet for me just to make sure that the weathering matched. They've had Dan send pictures and they asked, what kind of paints are, I guess that's the right term. What kind of paints that they used or he used for that helmet commission? That way it matched the rest of the suit because they knew I wanted to display it. So I thought that was really cool for them to do.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And that's why RS is RS.
I know, dude. I know. Killing it. This is fantastic. Rob, if you're watching, which you better be, you definitely need to let us buy this on its own because I personally don't want the rest of the armor. I want the helmet, and I do want a bust, but I can't display this thing with the bust. I'd have to separate them somehow. But gosh, it's so cool. I love that. I love it. And obviously, Steve, you're gonna get the whole deal, though, right?
Absolutely,
yeah.
the whole
I'm
thing.
gonna go with the whole thing as well.
The whole shebang. I love it. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting there, folks. We're getting there. We're gonna go. We've got a couple more things here. So let's look at. Hold on one second. Let me get this going.
I love that we had the reference images, Nick. Thank you so much for that. I love the insight into this. It's just so. The more we do this, the more we learn, because we learn a lot of this stuff in real time as we do this. So, yeah, it's fantastic. Now, this particular one, Nick, just so people, because I think a lot of people are familiar with the Stormtrooper blaster, but
Yeah, the E11.
this reference image is being used for a purpose.
Yeah, so this is the one that I tried to emulate mine after. Well, Scott did. He put it together for me, but it's kind of what the look I was going for.
The attentive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one behind her left shoulder.
Yeah.
Her left shoulder or her right shoulder?
Well, her right shoulder. Yeah.
Okay.
From my vantage point, her left.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper?
I love it, dude. Look at it. You can actually see the like rubber tips of the glove, like the actual like. That's so funny, man. It's the stuff they used.
She's wishing that thing fired in that picture. She's like,
"Yay! I got a gun."
There's a lot of really cool shots with her and the E11s.
Yeah, she loves those E11s, doesn't she?
It's not midnight yet.
I know. I'd tell you what, you can really see like, man, you can see some really good details there. This is a great one too.
Oh, she's OG right there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And this is a piece right here.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Very nice. I love all these wires and stuff. It's so cool, dude.
Yeah,
they're all so different.
Yeah, Nick, sorry.
No, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say I like that you went for a different version, that you sought that out and went for something a little bit more unique. And for anybody that hasn't noticed on the counter, a little Easter egg or a nod to THX 1138, which I thought that was great to put that in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is killer, dude. Is this another one that's ridiculously expensive, I imagine, to make at this point?
If you want to do all original parts, yes, but Field Marshal again makes a 1-to-1 replica of this Sterling, which is the base of the blaster. All the different scope variations, because there's a few. He actually did make these power cylinders here that are pictured. The metal mites that are in the middle, they are they're vintage. He offers either one. He offers replicas and real ones, but he makes everything 1-to-1 to the original. Other than I think the Sterling is actually aluminum on his replicas, whereas this is steel. So it's a little bit lighter, but as far as like aesthetically, it's as close as you can get to the real thing for sure.
That's cool. That's good to know.
Now, what about the heat sinks on this, Nick?
The what?
The heat sinks on the T-tracks. What are those made out of? Yeah.
So that's just T-track and the holes on the Sterling. I think those are Todd's T-track.
Okay.
And Scott just bent, or I'm not sure his process, but basically he gets them, warm enough to where they'll bend, and just fixes them there, and they kind of reharden and they stay in there. So, and he made the scope rail too from scratch. So the scope and the counter and the Sterling are all genuine.
Now, what's that little looks like a little PCB board piece up there? Yeah, what's this thing?
Yeah, I don't know the origins of it. It's some type of, somebody on the Facebook page, the prop Facebook page, sent me a link to that. I'm not sure if it's a genuine part or not, or it is genuine, but I'm not sure if it's like an older part. But if you look at the reference photos, that is glued to the top of a lot of the different scopes in the movie.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, it's the little detail like that really makes these pieces stand out. Wow.
Yeah, this is a killer piece, man.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, this just makes me go, I so many things I still would love to get in the collection. You know what I mean? Like, I love all this stuff. I love too many things is the problem. It's really that's the issue. Because I would love to have a couple of these different weapons, and then
I think Field Marshal's kit sells for like $600, and I mean
Okay.
it's 1-to-1. I mean, so
Okay.
it's made right here in the USA. It's really good stuff. It's not outsourced in China.
Is it
And
is
he
it
put a lot.
is it weathered, Nick, or do you have to weather it, or do you know?
I think it comes as a raw kit, so you have
Okay.
to get somebody like Scott to finish it. But he's very reasonable for the type of work he does. I mean, it's no detail gets left unnoticed.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then last but not least here, we have, let me get this ready. This is another nice piece that I need to figure out myself. This is one I really need to work on as well. And this is Vader's hilt.
Oh, I didn't know we can see. Oh, nice.
Yeah, and you can see some of the reference images here.
So this is what's referred to as the V2. So there's the one that most people have seen with the regular bubble strip on it, and the clamp is flipped the other way around, with a nail actually holding it, and the grips are a little bit different. So this one actually had more screen time, but it's not as well known as the one I just mentioned. But I like the look of this one way better than the one that people most typically associate with the A New Hope Vader.
This is so cool because and this is the piece right here. You don't see this. Like I don't remember seeing anything like this in the freaking.
Yeah, it's really hard to see. Those are probably the best reference photos of it, at least that are publicly available. Somebody who is a very reputable person in the hobby, they say that there is much better reference photos of this particular prop, and the PCB on it is blue. A lot of people have I guess they've tried to manipulate the colors and stuff on screen, and they think it might have been tan or green, but it is blue. There's a lot of variations in these Exatra boards. So
that's so cool.
I'm sorry, we were discussing that recently. The color variations, that sort of khaki. Yeah. I like the way the blue and red fits with the piece, and it stands out really nice.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow,
it's very Vader. The red.
It is. Yeah.
It makes it really hard to say like what I want to. I don't even know. Do you know, Nick? Does anyone make this version? Like, I don't think I've seen this version from any other makers.
Yeah. So I mean, this is all original stuff. But if you get a replica, Romans makes a really good MPP replica, and then you get that from him, and then Brad. He goes by the name of Slaw Furnace. He develops a lot of stuff for the Knights of the Old Republic game, like the weapons and stuff. He makes replica PCBs like this that are very similar, and I think they're only like $100. They're really nice.
Yeah, he does the color variations as well.
Yeah, he does green, which is one I had that as a placeholder up until recently, and I found this one, or I didn't find this one. An RPF member reached out to me, and because he knew I was looking, and said, "Hey, I have 2 of these, you want to buy one?" And obviously I did, and sold the placeholder, but the placeholder was really nice. Which I have some pictures of it somewhere. I should have sent them, but Brad makes a really nice replica. I mean, it's really close, really close.
That's so cool, dude.
Now we're looking at an original MPP here, though, right? Just the hilts here is in the replica. Okay.
Right.
Now, are these key tracks from Roy? Are these the one-on-one key tracks?
Yep, they're Roy's.
Yeah, he does an amazing job on these.
Very, very, very nice. Congrats, Nick. Congrats on all your pieces, Nick. These are all fantastic.
Beautiful collection, huh?
Thank you.
Wow.
Beautiful collection, and I love that you're very focused and very like, you got an idea of where you're going. It's just great. That's great.
Yeah.
Expensive still, but it probably saves you money not buying all the other junk that we get. So It's
Well, it's the same mentality, Matt, when someone says, "Oh, the Chewbacca bust," and then if you look at the Obi-Wan hilts, you're talking 10,000 plus sometimes. But it's a matter of
one did go on eBay recently for 13, which I actually did. Funny story, I actually bought that one. I think Cal was the runner-up. He was bidding on it, and he ended up finding all the pieces in record time after that. But I just wanted it for the balance pipe because I had a new old stock one at the time, and I wanted one that actually had all the natural build-up on it. And I've sold that one since, but they're hard to find, but it's worth it. In my opinion, I enjoy collecting things like that you can upgrade over time. And again, part of the fun is hunting that stuff. So
that's really cool. Well, guys, that's the show. Nick, thanks again for coming on. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Like that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun going through your collection. And Nick, do you have anything? So, what's your group on Facebook?
It's Props of Star Wars, the original trilogy. So.
Okay, cool. So yeah, check that out on Facebook, guys. Give them a like and go join that group.
A lot of familiar faces there as well.
I'm sure.
Yeah, from the RPF. Yeah.
A lot of great guys there.
I'm sure.
Good source
but yeah, guys, that's going to be it for us. We'll be back, I think Friday. No, we'll be back tomorrow with an announcement. But we'll be back with the group therapy on Friday, and then I think we got some more collector spotlights coming up in the weeks to come. So it should be pretty cool. So Jason, thanks for setting this up, and
sure.
Nick, thanks again for coming.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
Freaking fantastic.
Yeah, really
so,
Thanks, Nick.
all right, guys.
Thank you.